Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. Central bank digital currency, is that where we're heading? I believe so, and I think a lot of you do too. But how it's actually going to be enacted and pushed into place is the difficult part, and also when. I think the ultimate goal I think we need to look at first is simply complete control over our currency, be able to manipulate markets, etc. I think that's what's going to happen with it. But again, when we talk about how it's going to be enacted, just springing it on the American people are not going to go for it all too quickly. So we have to entice them. And that's exactly what the Federal Reserve is doing. The Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Press release, the Fed Reserve announced its July launch for their FedNow service. FedNow. And what is the FedNow service? I'm glad you asked. The FedNow service is a new instant payment infrastructure developed by the Federal Reserve that allows, financial institutions of every size across the U.S. to provide safe and efficient instant payment services. Tell me, aren't most of the banking services practically instant already? I mean, I'm not a banker, but I think they're actually pretty darn quick to begin with. Financial institutions and their service providers can use the service to provide innovative instant payment services to customers, and recipients will have full access to funds immediately, allowing more flexibility. The Fed Reserve already has a system like this out right now called cash. You pay cash, it's instant. I mean, they may be getting into talking about how if you write a check, it'll take, 2 or 3 days for it to clear. And I mean, a lot of people aren't using checks anymore anyway, but maybe this is their system. Yeah, I bet it is. I bet this is their system for replacing checks, all access to your account, your bank account, to be accessed instantly and digitally. Again, getting rid of cash and having a digital currency. But there's more to this. And it's interesting, they have a video coming through about this and how it's actually going to work. And I'm not going to put the sound on for this. I only want to talk about a couple things. They're talking about how quick it is and all this stuff between the banks and the people. Oh, instant payments, this is great. But the banks themselves already have, practically speaking, instant payments with each other. That's not what they're doing here. If you look at this little segment right here, it shows the bank and it shows houses, etc. This isn't simply about banks. It's actually about all kinds of currency between people. They merely push this between banks and credit unions, but that's not what they're showing here. Look at this and stop. They have cell phone to cell phone transactions. They actually have transactions with cash. The bank is what they really keep pushing right in the center. But look at this right here. Between people, instead of cash between people, they're really trying to set it up. So everything, all transactions will be done using this new FedNow system. So again, they try to say it's bank to bank, which obviously it's going to include that, but you definitely see person to person and some more obscure things that are conveniently out of focus in this video. And some things that are not in the video, let me tell you what they do show and talk about. They talk about actually having it so smartwatches, you can actually use payments there. They have it talking about where you use your cell phone to click on things to pay for things there. And you want to go yard sales, etc., not a problem. You can use your phones or your smartwatches to simply just transfer payments right to the people at the yard sale. I like cash. I like using cash. I don't like for the fact that the greenbacks and what they're based on, but I do like actually having the currency in my own hands and in my own control. And I think that's what they're trying to make it so that's not going to be in our control anymore. Because we see things like in China, and that's what we worry about is heading in that direction. China has it where if you don't go with what they want, their social credit score, then they'll simply just turn off those apps so you can't actually use your own money. They'll shut it down. And if you really fight against it, the next thing you know, you're going to jail. They actually control everything through the cash and the people there. Whereas the majority of people in China are now using their phones to actually do exchanges right through their cell phone apps. But not just China, but India as well. India has what's called the Unified Payments Interface, and this looks exactly like what FedNow is actually heading into. It is a peer-to-peer collective request system. Look, it's some of the same things. Transfer money through mobile device around the clock, 24/7, 365. One mobile app for accessing different bank accounts. It's the best answer to cash on delivery hassle, running onto an ATM or rendering exact amounts. You don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And I'll be honest with you, it does sound kind of neat. It is kind of tempting, isn't it? I hate dealing with cash. I hate having to go to the ATM or have correct change, etc. It's a pain in the keister. But I mean, right now, if you wanted to, you could pay with a credit card and actually just pay it off each month. And it does actually help that situation. But it's not about convenience. It's about control, because they don't want to control your finances just to, make life easier for you. You really think that's what it's all about? They're doing it for the role of control. They actually want to control our finances just like they do in China. They want to make it so if you go against the system, well, how are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to stay in your house? How are you going to afford food and all these things? It's not about cash. It's not about switching it to digital. It's about them controlling the digital. And this is the first step. FedNow is that first step to ease people into that transition of, you know what, when I go yard sailing, I'll just take my phone with me. I don't have to worry about taking cash with me or bartering with somebody. My phone will be able. Obviously, that's a situation we don't want. It's a very dangerous, slippery slope we're on, and the FedNow is pushing us over that hill of the slope. What do you think about that? You know more about that FedNow system? Because when I see this, I think of nothing but socialist venues coming to our neighborhood near you. Taking away our cash is our first step. Well, we're already on our first step. It's one major step into control of us. Thank you for watching.